Right, Jake's smiling. He must have his script in front of him, ready to go. We've the latest edition of a Podful of Saints, number 16 for the season, on Tuesday, the 12th of November, 2024. So let's say good evening to Jake and get things going.
Hello, Dave. I wish I had a script because if I had one, it'd say great win away at Weymouth. Oh, wait. Hello, everyone. Hope you're well.
And what about Lee? Have you got a script there to stick to?
No, mate. Ad hoc, wing it. That's all the best way, mate. That's how we roll.
Well, it's how we play on the pitch, so why should we be any different off it? Right. No. Cool. Who never said that? Right, we're looking back on one game last Saturday down at Radipole Lane, or the Bob Lucas Stadium, or the Wessex Stadium, whatever you want to call it, the blooming thing. The home of Weymouth. It's a good ground. I do like that ground. I never went to our old one in the harbour. This one's been open since, about 87? The reason I haven't been there because we didn't play them before then. I do like it. Could do a bit of freshening up, but there you go. I'm banging on about that because I don't want to talk about the game. 1-1 draw. Doesn't really suit either side, but it's a game that neither side could really afford to lose. Didn't want to get left further down. None of the bottom four sides lost, so it was crucial to get at least a point. And on reflection, we probably did enough to win it. We had chances. Ken Charles had a couple of shots saved in the first half. Jane Banton just failed to get on across the end of a cross from Josh Castellino close in. Who was it? Rasulo had a shot saved. Or was it Lynch? One of them anyway. I think it was Lynch. Had a shot saved. But it wasn't an exciting performance. So that may sound like we were well on top. We were comfortable. We never really looked like getting that breakthrough. If any of those had gone in, maybe it would have changed it. But that's what the goalkeeper, Will Buse, is there for. He didn't have to make great saves. So most of them fairly straightforward saves. So 0-0 at half-time. Second half, you expect us to carry on in the way we went the first half. But we didn't. We only had one shot on target in the second half, which was Ken Charles' goal. What was it, his fifth of the season? Something like that. Should check these things, really. Then Weymouth came back. It got a late equaliser. 3 times in 4 games we've let in a late goal. That's expensive points, possibly, going down the drain. I don't think we can complain too much about these late goals. That's just the way it is with football nowadays. Games go on and on. Overall, yeah, I won't complain at just getting a point. I know Nobby said again how good we were, and there's a story of our season about how we're dominating these games. Well, I'm sorry, to people outside the club, we keep saying we're dominating these games. We've only won 2 out of 16. People are going to see through that eventually, say, no, it doesn't stack up. It really doesn't stack up. That said, I think we are good enough to get out of trouble. I think we've got enough in about us at the moment to get out of trouble. But we have got to start getting wins. We can't keep relying on Bath City, Welling United, and our dear friends at Hemel Hempstead to keep losing. And hope we'll catch up on them a point at a time. Anyway, what did you two? You couldn't make it down to Dorset last weekend. What did you make of a result?
Go on, Lee.
I don't take too much away from Nobby's post-match interviews, other than an overwhelming desire to scratch my head. But the point he made a few weeks ago, he said that we have to work that little bit harder to get results when we're down the lower echelons of the table. And we are still very much down the lower echelons of the table. I think you're right, Tabs. I think we have upped our game in terms of performance. The one thing, I don't even really think it's a case of we're lacking work rate. It's just that experience. And there's still a fragility in our team when, there's always a chance we could concede at any point. And I just don't know whether we're seeing games out in the manner in which we should do. I think that's probably fair enough to say. I think we should have had more points over the last 3 or 4 games than we have done. But as you say, that's football. It's up to us now to manage the game properly and see those games out. I'm not too despondent. Looking at it, okay, yes, we've conceded another late goal, but I think a point away at Weymouth, I would have taken that at the start of the fixture, to be fair. We are where we are, and it's going to be a slow burn to get back up, get that impetus and get that desire back going, because where we started from was just atrocious. But we have shown something, as you say, in the last month or so to really kick us on. And hopefully a point, okay, it could have been 3, it should have been 3, but I'm happy with the way things are going in terms of we're showing a bit of character now. Just got to see it out.
Before you start, Jake, just want to chuck in there about the drop points and the frustration of the late goals. And everyone said it's bad luck. Well, come on, we had outrageous good luck to win at Hampton, and we had a rubber the green against Bath City as well. So our 2 wins, we've had our good fortune. So if it goes the other way, we can't really complain. As for Weymouth, they're actually 6 games unbeaten now. 5 of them draws. In all 6 games, none of the sides have scored more than 1 goal. So 1-1 last Saturday is probably about right, which is what you predicted, Lee, of course. As for us, we lost our first 4 away games of the season. Now we're unbeaten in 4. Off you go, Jake.
God, look at that positivity. Yeah, I mean, like Lee, actually, I lost signal for a bit of time trying to cover the game or trying to watch the game on Saturday. Watch, listen, whatever, follow. And when it came back and I saw Weymouth had equalised, I wasn't surprised because of the last couple of games. But I'm not too disappointed by the result. Of course, a win would have been really valuable, I think. And straight after the game, Lee will attest that I made a few comments about how really we should be outside the bottom 4 now because of the amount of late points we've dropped in the last couple of weeks. We should be out there. So we're not, but again, positive signs. We're looking better. We're playing better. A decent result away at Weymouth. I'd have taken that. The only shame is other clubs below us have a couple of points, but the teams above us are still losing. So it's sort of not really changed the picture much, has it? So in that sense, it's not too bad. But we do need to start picking up these wins at some points. We can't keep dropping points, especially when we've got tougher games on the horizon in the coming weeks. That, again, it's not the end of the world. I think talking of Nobby's post-match, though, I thought, first of all, it was a better one. I thought Johnny's questions were better, and I quite enjoyed that. But also, Nobby's insight then when he was talking about how it was almost some of the players were almost turning on each other inside the changing room at the end was actually a bit of an insight that we haven't really had much of this season. Quite interesting to maybe get the mindset of the players of how frustrated they are about recent results and how late the goals are coming that we're conceding. So just I thought an interesting tidbit there that we saw on Saturday evening.
Yeah, Johnny's interview was interesting because he found a microphone he didn't actually have to shout into, not like the one he uses down at Clarence Park where he deafens everybody in AL1. Evening, Johnny. Nobby, 3 changes. Michael Johnson coming in for Josh Blunkel in goal. No surprises there. Another one was forced with Deon Woodman being recalled by Wealdstone. We'll come on to that in a minute. Speculated last week, mostly by Jake. Which meant David Long King comes back into the side. Yeah, that's fair enough. But we mulled over last week. Would Nobby drop Jeffers because he missed that one chance the previous week? Was it against Chelmsford? Despite him having a really good game apart from that. Yes, he did drop him. And he brought in Ken Charles instead. Right, Ken had a couple of decent shots saved, and he scored our 1 goal. So maybe that justifies it. But all 3 of us said, no, he wouldn't do that. But he did.
I don't think we said he wouldn't do that. I think we said he shouldn't do that. But there is that old adage, you don't sort of tinker with a winning side. And although we weren't particularly winning, we were playing well, and we were getting some purchase from the last 3 or 4 games. It worked. Ken Charles up front. From the person who we know who was at the game, he wasted a glorious chance in the first half. But look, he's got us a point. He's done his job. I don't think using him up front as a sole striker is the best use of him. But look, it worked to a degree. So you can't knock Nobby for that, because the one thing Ken Charles has got is work rate and pace. So you can't fault that at all. I don't even think it's a case of he dropped Jeffers because of that miss on last Tuesday night. I think he looked at the way maybe playing a more counter, active sort of a formation, Tavs. But Nobby's going to live and die by these decisions. Someone very interesting mentioned to me the other day they asked me, do you still think that Nobby's got credit in the bank? And it was a difficult one because he was comparing it to the situation at Kenilworth Road with Rob Edwards. He took, a okay championship side. He got them into the Premier League, and now they're not doing too well back in the championship. And there's a lot of bitterness and sourness. And the comparison he was trying to make is that, how much credit does one person need before things go south? Because, Nobby got us into the playoff final, but he left. We know the history behind it. But now, has he managed to sort of get a bit of traction at the right time? Because really, if you're going by form, he should have been booted out early on in the season. The club kept faith with him. And is there starting to be a bit of repayment? But again, it's a case of we don't want things to go so badly that he tarnishes his legacy as a player and as a person. So Nobby's going to make these decisions. They're not going to please everyone. He doesn't have to please everyone. Hasn't got to please anyone apart from the players. That is his job. So as long as the results continue, as long as the performances are there also, I think it's okay.
We like Rob Edwards, don't we? He features favourably in our history.
He does.
A little game from 3 years ago. Credit in the bank for Nobby. Right. He doesn't need it. He's got such staunch support in that boardroom and people around that boardroom. As it saw early in the season, we can play absolute rubbish. We can lose game after game, and he is as safe as houses. So us climbing or getting better results now, that just strengthens his position even more amongst that lot who've shown they don't care what happens on the pitch. As for supporters, no, his stock hasn't risen an awful lot with fans still. He's got a lot of work to do to win them over, which is understandable. They're the ones who are passionate about the club, and they want to see it successful. They want to see it playing decent football. And he's edging the way gradually there, but it's taking a slow boat route to get there. What do you think?
I was going to say, I was just going to say that Jake and I had a really good chat about this on our WhatsApp group. The bottom line is, even if we get a result here and a result there, this season is going to be seen as an absolute failure from the owner's point of view. The fact that Nobby came back, this projected style of football that we have to play, the players we signed, we should have been challenging or up there, certainly the higher echelons of the table, and we're not. And okay, we don't know how we're going to finish, but at this precise moment in time, this season is a failure. We're fighting off relegation, albeit in November, but the season hasn't started great. You've had, the fans have been on the players' backs. As Jake alluded to there, the players are having a little bit off of each other in the changing room. So, there's nothing to say that Nobby's stock has risen or dwindled by any stretch. But what I'm saying is, overall, you have to look at it. He's playing to save the season, and we're only in November. So what does that tell you about how bad the start was? But Jake, you spoke quite eloquently on our little chat about just the balance and the perception that other managers have got of our club. We're in a false position. Every manager has come out and said, we're in a false position. David Noble's team won't be where they are in a few months' time, blah, blah, blah. But it's perception. And if they were watching the stuff that we got served up for the first 3 months, they wouldn't be saying that, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really nice to hear these comments, but often these comments come after that team has either picked up a decent result against us or pushed us all the way, So it is, people are saying that because we do have a good squad. We've got good players. We've got a good squad. That squad was invested in the summer, and we know there were aims for a decent season. And reality, I don't think any of us or anyone in the club expected us to be in the bottom four come mid-November. With the FA Trophy game, it's a little while now to our next league game. We're in the bottom four, aren't we? No one expected that. It's a big change to where we were targeting last season, this season, and the aims of the club, because we know the club wants to achieve a top 7 finish to have a playoff chase. So it is nice hearing those compliments, but it is what it is. But I think Nobby. I think we talked about, didn't we, until this recent turn of results, that Nobby had lost a lot of ground, maybe not with the club, but with supporters. And I think he'd lost a lot of that when he went to Wealdstone. That's always going to happen when a manager ups and leaves in the middle of the season, especially when we'd been on a good curve then. I mean, 3 days before he joined Wealdstone, we'd played Havant at home, we'd beaten 4-1, really good display against a poor Havant side. And, Nobby at the end, clapping the fans, cheering us on. And then 3 days later, we hear he's gone. And the rumours had started 2 days later. So he lost a lot of ground then. He's trying to earn it back now. And I think he has to an extent. But also, and we've talked about this before, we are very lucky to have a very supportive fan base, at least during the games, I'd say. Social media, of course, is a different place. But during the games, the fans have been behind the team, generally behind Nobby, I say, really backing the boys. And that's going to continue because the football and the results have improved. But, suddenly we've got a tough December coming up. If we struggle to pick up some results there, again, Nobby does lose any sort of goodwill he might have built up over the last month or so.
This thing about clubs saying Nobby's got a good side and they're not going to stay down there in the 4th position. Well, any manager, when they're in an interview, they always praise the opposition. They say, dude, I was doing it. Yeah, it's Saturday. Nobby, who actually rarely talks about the opposition, said Mark Molesley's doing a great job down at Weymouth. Well, it was for 89 minutes till he got sent off from the bench on Saturday. But that's not in a good Weymouth side. No stretch of the imagination is that a good Weymouth side. They were there for the beating, and unfortunately, we're not good enough to do it. Of course, they're saying that when they've looked at our summer signings, but 2 have gone already. 1 gets substituted every single game. So it's not really the same side that they're talking about when they're chucking his praise at us. I don't know. Do they come and watch us every game? I hope we went and watched Basford on Saturday. I hope we sent a scout up there to watch it. I don't know. I think it's just a bit of flattering up to make themselves look better. We drew with St Albans and we beat them, and they're going to be a good side. They're in the 4th position. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't think the season yet can be classed as a total disaster. It can be if it stops now, obviously. But as ridiculous as it sounds, a good run, and you're in the middle of a division there. Because there's so many sides falling down. We don't look like having that good run. We're playing better, but we don't look like we're going to go on suddenly a 6 or 7 match winning run. But if we do get that, suddenly it is a totally different season. If we don't get it, then yes, we've still got one hell of a fight on our hands.
Yeah, and I think we have to sort of tie into that as well. Nobby's very much thinking along that train of thought. Here, we joked about it, but he's very much seeing how many points we are away from the playoffs. And that's really what you want from your manager. You want to, you can sort of sugarcoat it or not, but that's the sort of attitude and that you want from the manager looking upwards as opposed to teams behind you. And he said it quite right as well a month ago. I'll be really talking about a relegation battle in October. I think we've got an opportunity on Saturday as well to put a bit more glitz into our season with a good run in the trophy, so we can kick that off as well and then see where we are. Clubs who make all these summer signings, the team that ends the season is very, very rarely the team that starts it, especially given the run of results that we had up until that point. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on. We shouldn't be classed. What I was trying to say is that it's not the season that we preempted by any stretch. And we're still making our way through that to get to some sort of standard of football, 1, quality results, 2, and obviously the overall position within the table. As Jake said, the games are going to be coming thick and fast, and the opposition is going to be providing a much sterner test than the likes of Weymouth and Bath that we've faced over the past few weeks. So that is really going to be a telling point of where we are as a team and as a club.
Now, as you know, I'm not a fan of a loan system. I think if a club has failed to make the right signings in the summer, well, it's got to live by it and bring in new players. Easy now, you can just bring in loan players pretty much as you like. We were on the receiving end of it going wrong last week with Deon Woodman and Makise Evans recalled. Something you speculated about, Jake, and then it came to fruition.
I know. I won't say how I speculated or what could have given me that idea. Yeah, it's a shame. I think a lot of it was from that Wealdstone post, wasn't it? A week before we got the England then, didn't we? And turned out to be accurate. And it's a shame. I think Woodman will actually be a really big miss. I thought his first game and a half or two was a little bit shaky, but I thought he looked really good, and I thought he looked established us at the back in the sense we looked much stronger with him there. I know we were still conceding goals, but I thought he took a leadership role and alongside David Long King when he featured, looked really good. And if they'd stayed together, I think that would have been a really important partnership. Now that's changing at the back. We've got Partington back in, but we know he's struggling for fitness. We've brought in a new figure as well that we'll talk about in a minute. And as you say, it's just that the negatives of the loan market. We've had one fan comment, with those two gone now, have we missed a bit of an opportunity to possibly pick up a few points while they were here? Now the squad has weakened again. Does that set us back a little bit further than you might think? I know Evans didn't have a massive impact, but he still scored a couple of goals, didn't he? He was still a good squad option. With those two gone now, is there actually quite a bit of work for Nobby to do to get us back on a track where we're getting towards decent results? Because I think the main worry for me is that defensive area now with Woodman gone.
Your comment about Makise Evans being a good squad member, Tim Petty said he's a good impact player, which means you bring him on as a substitute to possibly enhance your chances. Of course, that's not what Stevenage want us to do with him. They want him playing every game. And so he's gone back there and presumably he'll go out on loan to someone else who will give him a run in the starting 11. But it leaves us a bit short. Right, the new guy then, Udoka Chima, was he 21, 22 years old? He's either played for or had trials pretty much every club in Europe, and I believe was in our reserve team last Saturday. I think they lost, didn't they, to Met Police? An interesting one. Have you looked into his background at all?
I mean, it's quite a long story, isn't it? And it's been all over Europe, as you say. I think the most interesting one is the fact he ended up at Worthing, didn't he, and barely played because of an injury. So then went back abroad. So it looks a bit like a bit of a punt to me. I don't know in terms of will it work, will it not? And I hope he does well. But when you've got a quality of Woodman's ability or a player of Woodman's quality that departs the squad, you're looking for someone of a similar ability to be able to step in, especially if Joe Partington, say, picks up a knock tomorrow. So if it's him instead, it might be a bit of a step up. We'll see. It might be, a bit of a. He might get a chance on Saturday, actually, depending on the opposition, or depending how the opposition line up. But just, I'm not excited, say, by his arrival, but I hope he proves me wrong.
You think we need to keep shopping in that department?
I mean, I would say yes, Lee. I don't know what you think.
Massively. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The fact is that you've had Woodman, who I think impressed us all, without doubt. Yes, he had a mistake in him, but the fella's young. He's coming in cold to a team he'd never even been involved with before. I don't think you can have too many quality players in defence because there's always someone better out there. It'll be interesting to see if he does feature from the off on Saturday. But look, as long as the club are actively looking, what we don't want to do is rely on those players who may be playing out of position just to sort of fill a hole, because then we're getting ourselves into the same trap we found ourselves in at the start of the season. We want to keep progressing as a club and as a team, because whilst we're on this little bit of run, we don't want to sort of fall back into the old habits of just trying to mend and make do. We need to be proactive. And I do believe, Tabs, you're not a fan of the loan system, but it has produced some absolute gems for us over the last 3 or 4 years. So, and the scouting network it seems to be working, it's large. So hopefully they can get a key signing or two over the next few weeks.
Well, I like the comment about the scouting systems working. An interesting conversation with somebody else the other day who takes a somewhat differing view on that one, shall we say. And, we should say, but the loan system, I don't like it because you've lost 2 players out of your team straight away last week. At the end of the season, if you've got 4 loan players, you've got to do a lot of shopping already to fill your squad up there. And it's just chopping and changing like that. There's no continuity. It really isn't.
It's not, but don't forget that the addition of those loan signings was, it contributed towards our upturn in form.
Of course he did.
So
they're not our players. They're not our players.
well, no, okay. So the argument is this, though, right? If we don't get any players in, we just have the status quo, and we know how that panned out for the first 3 months. We have to look into these situations. Sometimes you can get a loan player for 3 months. Sometimes you can get a season long. You know, unfortunately, Georgie Hoddle had injuries. He had to sort of go back. I don't think we've seen the last of him because he loves it here. We love having him here, and he's a real impact player, and he improves our squad. I've got no problem in the club looking to constantly get loan signings in. Yes, we always know that they're going to have to be recalled at some point, but with, you know, the likes of Woodman, if he can contribute to a massive upturn in form whilst he's here, that's got to be a plus, surely.
It is, but it's a sticking plaster, isn't it? Because he's going to go after a certain while. If you get into the playoffs with these players, they're gone at the start of next season. She's still got to rebuild anyway. Yes, because it's so easy to get players on loan from Football League clubs now. Youngsters between about, 18 and 21 years old. It's dead easy now. And all clubs do it at our level. And I understand that is the way the game works now. I don't like it, but for the reasons I've already stated. And yeah, we're going to get more coming in. We know that.
Yeah, we will. I mean, we're in a position where we need it, to be honest. It's a situation I'm glad to. And we know that other clubs in the division are going to. I think, Dave, your issue is more with the idea of loans generally, isn't it, within football, then specifically the Saints using the market to an extent. But like you said, there's always that need to rebuild. If players come back, you'll go back. You know, if we lose Phil Chinadu, there's another one that's gone, and we're going to have to look at replacements there. So it's an imperfect world, really. But if other teams use it and we use it, I don't mind. And it's nice to see us actually playing the loan players. We had, under our previous manager in Allenton, it's fair to say a lot of loan players didn't get much of a sight in the squad, did they? They barely played, barely featured, and they went back to their club. So at least loan players under David Noble are seeing football and contributing to us positively. It's just, it leaves you up a creek, doesn't it, when they're suddenly recalled 3 days before a match.
I'm glad you mentioned Phil Chinadu. He came on 56 minutes for Joe Parkinson on Saturday. Unfortunately, Johnny didn't ask in the interview, you know, why was Joe taken off. He didn't look to be struggling. We assume he's still carrying an injury, but of course the club doesn't like giving out information about individual players. But Phil came on.
You, Tabs.
Phil came. Well, tell me then, was Joe injured? No, see, nobody knows. Chindu came on. He sliced 2 clearances backwards, sideways, put another one out of the ground. I don't think he meant to. And he looked like an accident waiting to happen. He really did. But he's such a presence there. It did actually strengthen us in a way when he came on. But the interesting thing was, of course, we've only seen him at left back, predominantly at left back. But with Parkinson going off, he went to the centre of the defence. And I don't know if they scored after he came on, but wouldn't read too much into that. But I don't think he's the long-term answer. I don't know. How long's his loan? Was it 2 months? What
was it? 3 months? So it must be coming towards a bit of a decision time, whether it's being extended further or if he's got to go back. So it's another one to think about, isn't it?
It is indeed.
So
right, are we done with Weymouth? We've already touched it.
I mean, should we talk about their goal quickly? It wasn't the most glamorous of goals to concede, was it? I mean, good save by MJ. It's just after that it all fell apart. Yeah,
nice bit of fly kicking by David Long King.
And it was Romeo, wasn't it? I thought it was Romeo. Well, I think there's multiple people responsible for what was not the best.
Who are you going to blame now then, Savs? Who are you going to blame? Sean Jeffers. What was he doing back there? Disgrace. Get him off.
Oh, you got to blame him. Well, you got to blame Nick Ralph. He should have come off the bench. No, it was a scramble goal. Good old-fashioned scramble goal. Right. I had a good walk around Weymouth Sunday morning. Beautiful.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Absolutely beautiful.
No, anyway, move on.
Right, we are moving on to this coming Saturday. FA Trophy time again, as I think you've alluded to already. Second round, Baseford United, Northern Premier League. Quick look, last time we played a Northern Premier League side in the trophy, you weren't there, Jake. You definitely were, Lee. Ashton United, 1999. Happy days, eh?
Not for them. Yeah, we equalised in the talk about late goals, Sabs. We equalised in the 96th minute or something,
something like that. Yeah,
and that was the time. It was horrendous. As you imagine, deepest, darkest, murky, dingy, wet, damp Manchester. The only thing warm was the ice. And that was the season when we played all of our midweek home games on a Monday.
Yeah.
So having just salvaged the draw, we went into the clubhouse and met by just a wall of expletives from their directors. Like, bloody hell, London on a Monday night. And and they could not believe it. One bloke was actually on his knees. It was just. But look, the FA Trophy, the cup competitions, it does create memories like this. And who knows, Tab? Given everything that we've been through over the last sort of 3 months, the divisions between the fans and the manager, the inconsistent performances, the woeful, shocking exit at the hands of in the cup. Maybe, the trophy is our avenue for salvation this season. Who knows?
I just want to touch on that Ashton United replay, Lee. You said it's a Monday night, and it was a foul night. It's a snowy night.
Yeah.
It went on for ages because didn't one of their guys get injured and he had to go off in an ambulance to a city hospital?
Yeah,
and it went on and on and on. And we only had one orange ball. And Ashton were doing everything trying to get the game called off, saying to the referee about how bad the snow was and whatnot. And Ainsley said, well, we only had one orange ball. If they had thought about it, they'd do what most sides do, which is plant it onto the railway line. And that would have been the end of the game. Referee would have had to call it off. But they didn't catch on to that one.
No.
Happy days. Right. Yes, Northern Premier League. They're 12th in the table at the moment with 16 points from 19 games. So same number of games as us, but 7 points more. But they are on a downer. 1 win in 7. 17 goals conceded in those 7 games. Scored 11. And the latest one was that 4-3 defeat home to Whitby Town last Saturday. I don't know if you've seen the highlights, but Jordan Hallam scored a couple of great goals, one from a free kick. But, they do look leaky at the back. And you've got to fancy our chances, despite us not having won any of our last 4 home FA Trophy games.
I think, just looking at their results, there's quite a lot of goals, isn't there, in their games at the minute? Either way, often for the other side. So we've got to go confident. Lee, you talk about crashing out the cup. Most of what you said about getting a good run was what we said before that Galston game. And that ended really well. So, surely we can't afford another embarrassing defeat in a cup competition this season, can we? It'd just be another disaster, wouldn't it? I think in a season that's been poor so far, to lose at home to Basford United, I think just would be really unacceptable. And I think, David Noble, I think, will be going out there. Some fans may think, will he rotate? We've had a very cheeky message to say, will David Noble give some fringe players like Sean Jeffers a start on Saturday? Which we don't condone. David Noble, I don't think he's going to look to give some fringe players a start, is he, on Saturday? Surely he's going to be the strongest team.
He hasn't got any fringe players.
That's true. Yeah, that is true, actually. But he can't afford to make many changes, I don't think, from the team that finished or started on Saturday. Will the only change be, will we see Chinadu in for Partington, potentially, if that is maybe a way Nobby is looking forward? But apart from that, I don't see much change, and we've got to go there full throttle, I think. We can't afford to sit back and be lackadaisical like we were against Galston.
You don't want to be complacent, but I'd been more concerned about this game earlier in the season when they were picking up a few wins. We couldn't buy a win anywhere, not a cat and hell chance. But now, with them conceding goals, with them not winning, with us showing an upturn with improved performances, and their record in the trophy is awful. Was it 10 away games? And I think they lost 8 of them. They lost all the last 5 away. Not the previous seasons really count. but I think it's a good time to play them, and it's nice to be down the park. If we don't win, something has gone disastrously wrong somewhere.
Galston, boys. Galston. We had the exact same track of thought leading up to that Galston match. I mean, we got our fingers burnt horribly at that match. And I think if David Noble can take anything away from that game, it should be how not to underestimate teams that we should be beating. The one thing I would say is that, yes, Dave, we are on a little bit of a roll. So therefore the players would want to continue that, get more game time, get more goals to their name, get more assists, put on a show, because I think this season at home, we have not really been subject to that at all. So this will be a really good opportunity for the players and David Noble to take this seriously. It deserves it. Otherwise, we're going to have another Galston. And that leads to a whole new level of conversation that we don't really want to be going down again, especially when the players have gone some way to sort of, righting quite a lot of those wrongs. So Saturday is going to just take it at face value. Don't think of where they are and how many goals they've shipped or who's playing. Take it, attack the game, as Jake said, play our way that we've been playing with intensity over the last month, and we should be okay.
Yeah, that FA Cup game at Galston. You went for 5-1 lead, Jake. You went for 2-0, and I went for a 3-0. Will went for sizable wins. Of course, we lost 4-2. Well, the thing is about that match, we did actually create one heck of a lot of chances. We just couldn't turn them in. But at the back, you won't see a worse defensive performance in your life from St Albans team. It was just a comedy of errors, wasn't it? And I don't see that being repeated Saturday.
I feel like jinxed us now, Dave.
Yeah, massively.
I think.
I cast your mind back to last season, mate, when we got dicked 4-0 away to Braintree. That was pretty bad as well. So there's a few. The boys have got a few in them, haven't they? So hopefully he doesn't start on Saturday.
It was around this time, wasn't it, that we were talking about the FA Trophy game away at Stortford, who were bottom of the National League North. We were thinking, right, it's a good opportunity here.
Yeah,
that wasn't TV. A great.
Yeah, beautiful, lovely.
That wasn't a great afternoon. So yeah, we've got to be confident. And out of all the draws the club could have had, a home draw against a Northern Premier League side, they would have wanted that. It gives you a great opportunity to get into the next round, build a bit of momentum, get towards, some possibly exciting ties in the trophy and, a bit of money coming in. So, like Lee said earlier, it's the opportunity, isn't this game, to just continue that little tiny bit of momentum that we've got at the minute and carry it into the fixtures coming up afterwards. Chippenham at Aveley afterwards. We'll talk about that next week. But that's 2 games where you need to be targeting maximum points, I think. So get a good result Saturday, and hopefully that can be a springboard into next week.
A couple of people who know a bit about Northern Premier League have warned me saying, don't take it for granted, because it is a decent league. I just think it's come at the right time for us and the wrong time for them. And it will be one heck of a surprise if they did pull it off. It's not to say they won't do it, of course. No. Anyway, right, anybody, sorry, go on.
I say we've been here before, and they've got a game against Stockton tonight, who are 4th place. So
big game,
big, huge game. So we'll see if that has any effect.
Stockton. I hope they beat them. The original Stockton club, we owe them one.
God.
Amateur Cup semi-final, 1926. They did us 2-1 up at Ayresome Park. Mind you, we put them out in about 1913, was it? We beat them in a replay down the park. Anyway, it's a year or 2 ago now, not really relevant, and a different club, but still called Stockton. Come on then, set predictions.
I'm going to go for a very, very hard-fought 2-0.
Oh, I was going to say that.
You can't.
No, you can't. And that Lee's right. He got it right last week, so he'll be right again anyway.
Say
it. No. Let's go for the other one. 3-1 Saints. Come on.
Ooh.
Come on.
Upgrade.
I think danger is complacency, so I've gone for a 3-0 win. You mentioned Chippenham and Aveley coming up, Jake. Next Tuesday, we're away to Bishop Stortford, Hearts Senior Cup.
Are we?
Big game. Big game.
And I can see we've all done our research on that one. But Stortford, having a bit of a stink of a season, aren't they? 2 in a row now.
Well, I don't think we can talk, can we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't realise that. Is that Stortford away? Oh, who's getting
Stortford away? It is, yeah.
God. That's exciting. Oh,
Put some more gasoline in the Podmobile, Tabs. We're coming with you, mate.
Yeah.
We go road trip.
Yeah. Well, I think again that's one of those That's one of those fixtures, isn't it? Get Basford out of the way, then we can worry about Stortford 3 days later.
I may be out of date here, but didn't Steve Castle take over there?
Yes, he is there, the ex-City manager for our newer fans. He had some interesting spells at City, didn't he? Twice. A lot of things went on, it's fair to say. And some fans view him quite highly, some don't. He's a mixed character, I think it's fair to say, in terms of City fans' views on him. So,
aren't all managers, though? Aren't all managers like, some love him, some hate him. Tabs hates them all, so it doesn't really matter.
What we'll say about Steve Castle's time as City manager, he had a couple of spells, and they were both at rotten times. The club off the pitch was a bit of a basket case. But let's face it, in his final year, we got a £9,000 fine for financial irregularities. We got a 10-point deduction from the league. He had a transfer embargo as well. All of these things totally out of his control. And it's just this undercurrent all the time he was there. It was a rotten time to be City manager. And he was a victim of it. Just looking through their squad now, we've got Luke Warner-Ely, if his thing's up to date. Mark Haynes, he's still playing. Good grief. And any others? Anthony Church, another experienced player there. Yeah, but I think you still fancy us. Well, you'd imagine Nobby might use a few players to get some minutes. We haven't had them recently.
Yeah, definitely. And so what you're saying, Dave, is it can always be worse. So as bad as things are at the minute, at least it's not that season, is it? So, but again, for our newer fans, at the minute,
ironically, that wasn't even like the worst of them, Jake. To be honest with you, mate, it gets a lot worse than that, mate. Trust me.
Let's cherish it while we're still here. Let's enjoy it now.
Media footprint, beautiful.
Oh yeah. So, Dave, do we have to do predictions for Stortford as well?
Yes, we do. Yes, of course we do. Do you want to get the ball rolling, Jake, or do you want me to jump in?
1-1 win on penalties.
No. Okay. Lee?
3-1 defeat.
Oh.
That's outrageous.
Well, we don't. Very, very rarely do well at Stortford.
Well, the cup holders. Cup holders. We've got a lot of cup holders. We're waiting to be shot down. You're dead right. 2-1 defeat.
God's sake.
Saturday, if it's a draw, of course, we've also got to go to penalties. And Basford have gone through 2 rounds already this season against Hanley Town and Anstey Nomads. Both of them were at home, and both of them went to penalties. So they got through 2 rounds and haven't won a game yet.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Quickly before we go, is Gio Rasulo suspended, Dave, or can he play?
Looking at the rules, he's had 5 bookings, or laws, whatever they want to call them. 5 bookings. He does get a 1-match ban, but it looks like that would be in National League South against Chippenham Town. So we think he's available on Saturday.
What a treat. What a treat.
Well, on even more positive notes, we need to give mention to Paul Bastock and his managerial co-manager Ian Culverhouse. He got the sack from Boston last week in the National League, and both of them, Baz particularly, Baz is a legend there, isn't he? And they did a brilliant job to finally get Boston out of the National League North and into the conference. So it's a shame to see him get the sack, but I'm sure they'll get a job somewhere soon. So
yeah, talking to managers, Bobby Wilkinson at Hemel Hempstead.
No.
It's cleared. Bobby Wilkinson at Hemel. It's a club down the road, Leah. Still going apparently. It's cleared out 3 players so far this week that we've heard of, and the threat is more to come. Dave Boggins is away on holiday, so Bobby's job's probably safe for a few more days. And then you've got Jerry Gill down at Bath, walking a very dodgy line. Rod Stringer had that magnificent start when he came in at Welling last season. They're going down the pan as well. They can't beat anybody. Oh, hang on. They beat somebody the other week. But you can see three managers walking a tightrope at the moment. Nobby safe as houses. He's not on that list at all. Don't worry about that. It could get interesting.
I just wish we started actually picking up some wins, because then, we'd be catching Hemel at blooming. Maybe we're just holding off so we can overtake them on Boxing Day, which I've seen a few fans suggest. So maybe we're just playing the longer game. But we won't mention how this form has coincided with them spray painting Mind the Gap near Clarence Park, will we? We won't mention that at all. So
Have they won since that?
no, I don't think they have.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Anyway, let's not wish a win for them into existence.
Right, one final thing. You two like to say hello to our American fans, our Norwegian fans, and anybody else around the world. I'd just like to say hello to a City old supporter, experienced supporter. Jeff Gould lives out in Spain. He's in his 90s now. Supported City since goodness knows when. He worked on the programme a bit in the 1970s. I remember him doing that. So hello, Jeff. You've finally got your mention. I hope you and Joe are well.
Look at that positive note.
International saint. Beautiful.
Yeah, if you're an international saint, get in contact on Twitter, email below. Let us know where you're watching, listening from. Let us know why. Try and explain why you're bothering. And thank you all very much for watching and listening. As always, we will speak to you again next week after the Saints play in 2 more cup competitions. Thank you all, everyone. Bye-bye. Come on, you Saints.